These actors once walked red carpets and graced our screens, but now they're locked away, rotting behind prison walls. From sitcom stars to blockbuster villains, their crimes shook the world and shattered the illusion of fame. What drove these stars to such twisted ends, and how did they fall so far so fast? Brace yourself, this is not fiction. These are 15 most evil actors of Hollywood's, currently rotting in jail then and now, 2025. Shannon Richardson. Shannon Richardson was once an up-and-coming actress, known for her small roles in major TV shows like The Walking Dead and The Vampire Diaries. Though never a household name, she was steadily gaining recognition in Hollywood's crowded field of character actors. But in a shocking turn of events, her name became infamous for something far more disturbing than acting. In 2013, Richardson was arrested for mailing letters laced with ricin, a deadly poison, to President Barack Obama, New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg, and others. The case stunned the public and the entertainment world alike. At first, Richardson claimed she had been framed by her estranged husband, but the evidence told a different story. Her fingerprints were on the letters, and investigators traced damning computer activity back to her. By July 2014, she was sentenced to 18 years in federal prison. As of April 2025, she remains behind bars. Once seen as a rising star, Richardson's fall was swift and tragic. Her story is a grim reminder that fame doesn't shield anyone from justice, and that the line between ambition and self-destruction can sometimes be shockingly thin. Jeffrey Jones. Jeffrey Jones was once a familiar face on movie screens, often playing oddball or authoritative characters that stuck with audiences long after the credits rolled. Though his name wasn't widely known, his roles in classics like Ferris Bueller's Day Off and Beetlejuice helped define a generation of film. With his sharp delivery and unique presence, Jones had carved out a strong niche as one of Hollywood's go-to character actors in the 1980s and 90s. Born in 1946 in Buffalo, New York, he trained seriously in the dramatic arts, attending the prestigious London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art. After refining his craft on stage, he transitioned to film, where his breakout came in 1986 as the overzealous Principal Rooney, the comic antagonist in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Just 2 years later, he showed his range again as the uptight, yet quirky father in Beetlejuice. His collaboration with director Tim Burton continued in films like Ed Wood and Sleepy Hollow, and he even earned critical acclaim for playing Emperor Joseph II in the Oscar-winning Amadeus. However, everything changed in 2002. Jones was arrested on charges involving inappropriate material and a minor. The case made headlines, and in 2003, he pleaded guilty. His sentence included 5 years of probation, mandatory counseling, and lifetime registration as a sex offender. The fallout was immediate. Hollywood distanced itself. Directors stopped calling, fans were shocked, and any trace of goodwill he had built over decades vanished almost overnight. While he appeared in a handful of minor roles afterward, his career never recovered. As of April 2025, Jones remains a disgraced figure in the industry, a reminder of how a once celebrated career can be undone by deeply troubling choices. Before we dive in, let us know, where are you watching from? Drop your country in the comments below. Stephen Collins. Stephen Collins spent decades crafting a steady and respected career in Hollywood, often cast in roles that reflected integrity, calmness, and moral strength. Born on October 1, 1947 in Des Moines, Iowa, he began acting at a young age and studied at prestigious institutions, sharpening his skills on stage before moving into television and film. His versatility was evident in appearances across a range of genres, from Star Trek the Motion Picture to comedies like Jumpin' Jack Flash and The First Wives Club. But it was his portrayal of Reverend Eric Camden on Seventh Heaven that truly defined his career. For 11 seasons, Collins played the moral compass of the Camden family, a minister guiding his children and community with unwavering faith and gentle wisdom. The show became a cultural fixture and a symbol of family values in American television. Collins's image as a beloved father figure made him a household name and earned him widespread admiration. That wholesome image shattered in 2014 when a leaked audio recording revealed Collins admitting to sexually inappropriate conduct with 3 underage girls in incidents dating back to the 1970s and 90s. Although he confessed, no criminal charges were filed due to the expiration of the statute of limitations. Still, the fallout was swift. Television networks removed Seventh Heaven from their schedules, and Collins's acting career abruptly ended. The scandal sent shockwaves through the industry, especially among fans who had once viewed him as a symbol of moral leadership. Despite issuing a public apology and expressing remorse, the damage was permanent. His legacy, once rooted in trust and respect, became inseparable from the revelations of abuse. In March 2025, the investigation discovery docuseries Hollywood Demons revisited his case, including first-hand accounts from victims like April Price, further cementing the gravity of the misconduct in the public's memory. His story now stands as a stark example of how private wrongdoing, no matter how long ago, can unravel an entire career and redefine a public legacy. Harvey Weinstein. Harvey Weinstein, once one of Hollywood's most powerful producers, is now a symbol of one of the most dramatic downfalls in modern entertainment history. As co-founder of Miramax and the Weinstein Company, he helped shape the careers of countless actors and filmmakers, producing critically acclaimed hits like Pulp Fiction, Shakespeare in Love, and The King's Speech. For decades, he was seen as a kingmaker in the film industry. But in 2017, his reputation was shattered when multiple women accused him of sexual harassment, assault, allegations that had been whispered about for years but never fully exposed. The initial exposés in the New York Times and the New Yorker opened the floodgates, leading to over 80 women, including high-profile actresses, coming forward with similar claims. The accusations against Weinstein catalyzed the global #MeToo movement, shifting the cultural conversation around sexual abuse and accountability. In 2020, Weinstein was convicted in New York of third-degree and first-degree criminal assault and sentenced to 23 years in prison. In a separate 2022 trial in Los Angeles, he was convicted again, adding an additional 16-year sentence. As of April 2025, Harvey Weinstein remains incarcerated, serving a combined sentence of nearly 40 years. Appeals have been filed, but so far the convictions stand. His case remains one of the most pivotal moments in recent history, marking the end of an era in Hollywood and the beginning of a powerful reckoning. Once a fixture on red carpets and award stages, Weinstein's name is now a permanent reminder of the abuses that can flourish behind fame and power, and the courage it takes to bring them to light. Jace. Jace may have earned a few laughs in the late 90s for his role as Random Task in Austin Powers' International Man of Mystery, but today his name is remembered for far darker reasons. His character, a parody of James Bond's Odd Job, became a quirky fan favorite, especially for his absurd weapon of choice, a shoe. Yet what seemed like the start of a promising comedic career quickly dissolved into a disturbing and violent reality. Born in South Korea in 1970 and raised in California, Sun developed a deep interest in martial arts. He even created his own fighting discipline, Jo-Son-Do, blending various techniques into one personal style. He briefly stepped into the MMA world, appearing at UFC 4 in 1994. But his sole fight ended in a loss, and his fighting career stalled. Still, his physical presence and martial arts background helped him land minor roles in film, with Austin Powers being his only notable appearance. Behind the scenes, however, a chilling truth was waiting to surface. In 2008, while being booked for a probation violation, his DNA matched evidence from a brutal 1990 gang case. He was convicted in 2011 and sentenced to life in prison. While incarcerated, Sun was later charged with the 2011 murder of his cellmate, and in 2017 he was convicted of second-degree murder. Now Jace remains in prison, his legacy irreversibly stained. Once briefly recognized for a bit part in a hit comedy, he is now remembered only for the horror of his crimes, a sobering reminder of how quickly fame can be eclipsed by truth. Masterson rose to fame in the early 2000s for his role as Stephen Hyde on That 70s Show, a rebellious, sarcastic teen who became one of the show's standout characters. With his deadpan delivery and cool, laid-back attitude, Masterson quickly became a fan favorite. The sitcom, which ran for 8 seasons, cemented his place in pop culture and helped launch the careers of its young cast. Outside of acting, he explored a side career as DJ Mom Jeans, known for his quirky stage name and confident persona behind the turntables. Born in 1976 in Long Island, New York, Masterson had been working in entertainment since childhood, beginning in commercials before transitioning to TV and film. But his image as a beloved sitcom star would later be overshadowed by serious allegations that came to light years after that 70s show ended. In the early 2000s, several women came forward accusing Masterson of sexual assault, with incidents said to have occurred between 2001 and 2003. These claims gained renewed attention during the #Me Too movement, especially due to Masterson's close association with the Church of Scientology. Critics accused the organization of attempting to silence the victims, raising wider questions about power, influence, and accountability. Despite the growing controversy, Masterson continued to work in Hollywood, even starring in Netflix's The Ranch. But by 2017, as public pressure mounted, he was removed from the show. In 2020, formal charges were filed. Masterson maintained his innocence, claiming the encounters were consensual, but the trial in 2023 painted a much different picture. Heart-wrenching testimony from survivors revealed the emotional toll of the assaults and the long journey to justice. In May 2023, Masterson was convicted on 2 counts. 4 months later, in September, he was sentenced to 30 years to life in prison. As of April 2025, he remains incarcerated with appeals pending but no successful reversals. Once known for making audiences laugh, Danny Masterson is now a central figure in one of Hollywood's most high-profile abuse cases. His story reflects a broader shift in the industry, one that demands accountability no matter how famous or influential the person may be. Well, should Hollywood remove all of Danny Masterson's shows from streaming platforms? Type yes if you think his work should be erased, or no if you believe the art should stay, no matter what the actor did. Shelley Malil. Shelley Malil might not be a household name, but fans of the 2005 comedy The 40-Year-Old Virgin will remember him as Aziz, one of Steve Carell's oddball co-workers. His sharp comedic timing and memorable interactions on set added to the film's charm and helped make it a box office hit. Though Malil's role wasn't large, it left a lasting impression and served as his biggest break in Hollywood. Born in Kerala, India in 1964, Malil grew up in Texas, where he discovered a love for acting. He cut his teeth in local theater productions before moving to Hollywood in the early 1990s. Despite the limited opportunities for Indian American actors at the time, Malil steadily worked his way into the industry, landing minor but notable roles on shows like NYPD Blue, The West Wing, and Scrubs. His perseverance seemed to pay off when The 40-Year-Old Virgin brought him recognition alongside now famous cast members like Steve Carell, Seth Rogen, and Paul Rudd. However, Malil's promising career was overshadowed by a horrifying act of violence in 2008. In a jealous rage, he attacked his ex-girlfriend, Kendra Beebe, stabbing her more than 20 times in her home. The brutal assault left Beebe with serious physical injuries and enduring psychological scars. Witnesses recalled hearing the chaos unfold and immediately called authorities. Miraculously, Beebe survived, but the attack shattered her life. Malil was soon arrested and faced charges of attempted premeditated murder and assault with a deadly weapon. Prosecutors presented compelling evidence that his actions were deliberate and vicious, and in 2010 he was sentenced to 12 years to life in prison. The conviction ended his career and created a dark, irreversible legacy that stands in stark contrast to the comedic, light-hearted persona audiences once knew. As of April 2025, Shelley Malil remains behind bars, with his brief Hollywood success long eclipsed by the severity of his crimes. Michael Jace. Michael Jace was once a respected figure in Hollywood, best known for playing complex, conflicted characters. His most acclaimed role was that of LAPD officer Julian Lowe on the gritty FX drama The Shield, where he portrayed a devout, deeply troubled man caught between duty, identity, and morality. With his quiet intensity and commanding screen presence, Jace brought emotional weight to the role, earning praise from critics and fans alike. Born in 1962, Jace built a solid resume with appearances in both film and television. He had a brief role in the Oscar-winning Forrest Gump, 1994, and appeared in other notable projects like Boogie Nights and Planet of the Apes. But it was The Shield that gave him his breakthrough in 2002, showcasing his ability to portray moral struggle with nuance and conviction. Despite his professional success, Jace's personal life was unraveling. In 2011, he filed for bankruptcy, buried under over $500,000 in debt. Tensions at home escalated as financial and emotional pressures mounted. Tragically, on May 19, 2014, those tensions exploded into violence when Jace shot and killed his wife, April Jace, at their Los Angeles home. Their 2 young children witnessed the horrifying act. After placing a chilling 911 call admitting to the shooting, Jace was arrested and later charged with second-degree murder. During the 2016 trial, prosecutors highlighted a pattern of domestic violence and portrayed the crime as both cruel and deliberate. The defense claimed it was an impulsive act driven by emotional breakdown. The jury didn't agree. Jace was convicted and sentenced to 40 years to life in prison. Once admired for his ability to portray internal conflict on screen, he is now remembered for a devastating real-life tragedy that destroyed a family and ended a career. His story serves as a haunting example of how private despair and unresolved conflict can lead to irreversible consequences. Skylar DeLeon. Skylar DeLeon was once a child actor with dreams of Hollywood stardom. Born on August 12, 1979 in Sun Valley, California, he briefly appeared in the iconic series Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, sparking hopes of a bright future in entertainment. But as quickly as his career started, it faded. Facing rejection, financial hardship, and personal disappointment, DeLeon's ambitions took a dark and tragic turn. By the early 2000s, DeLeon was desperate for money and direction. In 2004, he orchestrated one of the most disturbing crimes in California's recent history. Along with his wife, Jennifer Henderson, and accomplices John Fitzgerald Kennedy and Alonzo McCain, DeLeon targeted Thomas and Jackie Hawkes, a retired couple selling their yacht well-deserved. Under the guise of interested buyers, the group lured the Hawkes out to sea. There, in a terrifying and calculated act, they forced the couple to sign over ownership of the vessel, then bound them to an anchor and threw them overboard alive. Their bodies were never found. The crime sent shockwaves through the community. The Hawkes were beloved, and their sudden disappearance haunted investigators. When the truth came out, the brutality of the murder stunned the nation. DeLeon was arrested and later sentenced to death in 2008 for the double murder. His co-conspirators received similarly harsh sentences. Once a hopeful actor, Skylar DeLeon is now known only for his cruelty. As of April 2025, he remains on death row in California. His story stands as a chilling reminder of how ambition warped by greed can lead to unimaginable horror and the enduring pain it inflicts on innocent families. Sean Combs. Sean Combs, best known to the world as Diddy, once stood at the peak of the entertainment industry. From launching the careers of major hip-hop artists to finding success as a record producer, fashion mogul, and actor, including his appearance in the 2014 film Draft Day, Diddy built an empire defined by influence, luxury, and power. For decades, he cultivated a public image of ambition, creativity, and success. But that carefully curated legacy is now under intense scrutiny. On September 16, 2024, Combs was arrested at a New York hotel and hit with a wave of deeply troubling charges, including sex trafficking, racketeering, and transporting individuals for the purpose of prostitution. According to a sweeping indictment that stretches back to 2009, prosecutors allege that Combs led a criminal enterprise that exploited and coerced women into prolonged sexual acts, often through manipulation, threats, and drug use. Authorities claim that behind the glitz and glamour of his public persona was a secret world of control and abuse. Evidence collected from multiple raids on his properties reportedly includes weapons, large quantities of lubricants, and testimonies detailing disturbing acts of coercion and psychological manipulation. Diddy has pleaded not guilty to all charges. His legal team insists that he is the victim of a politically and socially motivated attack, asserting that the accusations are false and that he intends to clear his name. Yet the seriousness of the case cannot be ignored. Denied bail twice, Combs is currently being held at the Metropolitan Detention Center under special observation. As of April 2025, the case remains ongoing, with the public and media watching closely. If convicted, Combs could face a sentence of 15 years to life in prison. What was once a career built on influence and visibility now hangs in the balance, overshadowed by allegations that could reshape how the world remembers one of music's most iconic figures. Ryan Grantham. Ryan Grantham was once considered a rising star in Canada's entertainment industry. Born in 1998 in British Columbia, he began acting at a young age and quickly gained attention for his natural screen presence. He appeared in a range of popular TV shows, including Supernatural, iZombie, and Unspeakable, and earned a small but memorable role as Rodney James in the family hit Diary of a Wimpy Kid. His breakout moment came with Riverdale, where he played Jeffrey Augustine, a character involved in a dramatic and emotional storyline that caught viewers' attention. But behind the scenes, Grantham was quietly battling deep personal demons. He struggled with serious mental health issues, including severe depression and suicidal ideation, which reportedly worsened over time. Friends and family noted his increasing isolation and troubling behavior, but few could have imagined the horrifying turn his life would take. On March 31, 2020, in a shocking and tragic act, Grantham shot and killed his mother, Barbara Waite, at their home in Squamish, British Columbia. After the murder, he recorded a video confessing to the crime and packed his car with weapons and supplies, allegedly intending to travel across the country to assassinate Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Instead, he turned himself into police before carrying out further violence. The case stunned the public. During the 2022 trial, prosecutors presented evidence that the murder was premeditated, including diary entries, rehearsals, and disturbing video footage. The defense pointed to his deteriorating mental health, arguing that Grantham was disconnected from reality and deeply remorseful. Ultimately, the court convicted him of second-degree murder and sentenced him to life in prison, with a possibility of parole after 14 years. His story is a heartbreaking reminder of the devastating consequences when severe mental illness goes untreated. The tragic loss of Barbara Waite and the collapse of a once promising young life continue to leave a lasting impact on those who followed the case. On a scale of 1 to 10, how shocked were you by the story of Ryan Grantham, the child actor who murdered his own mother and planned to kill the Prime Minister? Drop your number in the comments. 1 if you saw it coming, 10 if your jaw hits the floor. Yeong-su. Yeong-su, once internationally celebrated for his poignant role as Player 001 in Squid Game, experienced a stunning fall from grace following serious legal accusations. Born in 1944, Oh had long been respected in South Korea for his work in theatre, but it was his breakout performance in the Netflix hit that catapulted him to global stardom. His portrayal of the frail yet enigmatic old man earned him widespread praise and made him the first Korean actor to win a Golden Globe for Best Supporting Actor in 2022. However, his rising international profile was soon overshadowed by troubling allegations. In 2021, a woman came forward accusing Oh of inappropriate conduct during an encounter in 2017, claiming he had made unwanted physical advances. The case initially stalled due to insufficient evidence, but growing public pressure and media attention led authorities to reopen the investigation in 2022. Yeong-su denied any wrongdoing, insisting the contact was unintentional and not of a sexual nature. He expressed remorse if his behavior had been misinterpreted, but maintained that he had never intended harm. Despite his defense, South Korean prosecutors formally charged him with indecent assault later that year, a charge that pertains to non-consensual acts that fall short of violent assault under Korean law. The backlash was swift, public opinion shifted sharply, and the South Korean government suspended a promotional campaign featuring him. His once revered image, shaped by wisdom and humility on screen, now faced harsh scrutiny in both domestic and international media. In March 2024, Oh was found guilty and sentenced to 8 months in prison, though the sentence was suspended for 2 years. He was also ordered to complete 40 hours of sexual violence education. As of April 2025, he remains out of prison but under legal supervision. Yeong-su's story now serves as a sobering reminder of how fame and public admiration can be swiftly overtaken by personal accountability. The case continues to stir debate about justice, perception and the complexities of separating art from the artist. Bill Cosby. For decades, Bill Cosby stood at the pinnacle of American entertainment, a comedian, actor, and producer who became one of the most trusted and admired figures in pop culture. Born in 1937 in Philadelphia, Cosby used humor to rise above a difficult upbringing. After serving in the Navy, he pursued comedy full-time and quickly became known for his relatable, family-centered routines. His success broke racial boundaries, and in 1965 he became the first black actor to star in a primetime drama series, I Spy, winning 3 consecutive Emmy Awards. Cosby's star continued to rise through the 1970s and 80s. He created Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids, teaching children moral lessons through animation, and in 1984 launched The Cosby Show, one of the most influential sitcoms in television history. As Dr. Cliff Huxtable, he represented the ideal American father, wise, warm, and funny. His image as America's dad became a cultural cornerstone, and his influence stretched far beyond TV, shaping conversations about race, family, and education. But that image began to crumble in the 2000s. Allegations of sexual misconduct, some dating back to the 1960s, started to resurface. In 2005, Andrea Constand accused Cosby of drugging and assaulting her, a claim that was settled out of court but reignited scrutiny. In 2014, comedian Hannibal Buress publicly called out Cosby in a stand-up routine, sparking a tidal wave of accusations. More than 60 women came forward detailing disturbingly similar experiences of being drugged and assaulted by Cosby. In 2015, Cosby was criminally charged in the Constand case. His 2018 conviction on 3 counts of aggravated sexual assault was seen as a watershed moment in the #MeToo era, symbolizing long overdue justice. Yet in 2021, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court overturned the conviction due to a prior agreement that had promised he wouldn't be prosecuted, leading to his release from prison after nearly 3 years. Once a towering figure in entertainment, he is now viewed through the lens of betrayal and abuse of power. His story is no longer just about success, but about accountability, and how even the most revered public figures can fall when their private actions come to light. Amy Locane. Amy Locane, once a rising star, best known for her role as Sandy Harling on Melrose Place, stunned the public when her name became tied to a fatal DUI crash in 2010. On what began as a routine evening in New Jersey, Locane was behind the wheel with a blood alcohol level far above the legal limit. Witnesses reported seeing her speeding and driving erratically before slamming into the vehicle of Helen and Fred Seaman as they were turning into their driveway. The impact killed 60-year-old Helen Seaman and left her husband with serious injuries. The tragedy sent shockwaves through the entertainment world and beyond. In court, Locane expressed deep remorse, acknowledging the pain and loss her actions had caused. Still, prosecutors emphasized the sheer recklessness of her behavior, arguing that the crash was entirely preventable. Her initial sentence, 3 years in prison, was widely criticized as too lenient given the fatal outcome. Over the next decade, the legal battle continued. After multiple appeals and resentencing hearings, Locane's prison time was ultimately extended to reflect the severity of the crime. In 2020, she was resentenced to 8 years behind bars. Amy Locane's story is a painful reminder of how one reckless decision, driving under the influence, can destroy lives in an instant. Her fall from television fame to a prison sentence serves as a powerful cautionary tale about responsibility and the very real consequences of impaired driving. Jim Gordon. Jim Gordon was a highly respected American drummer and session musician who played a pivotal role in shaping the sound of popular music in the 1960s and 1970s. Born on July 14, 1945 in Los Angeles, California, he was a gifted percussionist who became one of the most in-demand studio musicians of his time. Gordon was a member of the legendary group of session players known as the Wrecking Crew, performing on countless hit records by artists like the Beach Boys, the Byrds, Carly Simon, and Steely Dan. He also toured and recorded with acts like Joe Cocker, Frank Zappa, and Traffic. One of his most iconic contributions was as the drummer and co-writer of the classic 1971 track Layla by Derek and the Dominoes, fronted by Eric Clapton. The song's famous piano coda, Haunting and Beautiful, was later revealed to have been composed by Gordon. Despite his immense musical talent, Gordon struggled for years with undiagnosed and untreated schizophrenia. His mental illness became increasingly severe, leading to erratic behavior and isolation from the music world. Tragically, his struggles reached a horrific breaking point in 1983 when he fatally attacked his mother, O.S.A. Gordon, during a psychotic episode. He was convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to 16 years to life in prison. His diagnosis of schizophrenia was a central issue in his defense, but he was not allowed to use an insanity plea under California law at the time. Jim Gordon spent the rest of his life in prison, largely forgotten by the music world. Despite numerous parole hearings, he was never released. He died in prison on March 13, 2023, at the age of 77. His life is remembered today as a haunting example of how untreated mental illness can destroy even the brightest talents. Gordon's musical legacy remains monumental, but it is forever overshadowed by the tragedy that ended his career and his freedom. Josh Duggar. Josh Duggar, once known for his role on the reality TV show 19 Kids and Counting, experienced a stunning public downfall after becoming embroiled in multiple scandals involving sexual misconduct and child. Born on March 3, 1988, as the eldest son of Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar, Josh was raised in a strict Christian fundamentalist household and became a prominent face of the Duggar family's ultra-conservative lifestyle. For years, Josh appeared on the family's TLC show, which focused on their daily life, religious values, and large family dynamics. Off-screen, he became involved in politics, serving as a lobbyist for the Family Research Council, a conservative Christian advocacy group. However, in 2015, Josh's clean-cut image collapsed when reports surfaced that he had molested several underage girls, including some of his own sisters, when he was a teenager. Although the incidents had been known to his family and local authorities for years, they were never publicly addressed until the media exposed them. The scandal led to the cancellation of 19 Kids and Counting, and Josh resigned from his political position. Later that same year, a second bombshell dropped. Josh was revealed to have had accounts on the adultery website Ashley Madison, and he admitted to being unfaithful to his wife, Anna Duggar. He entered rehab, citing a pornography addiction and personal failings, but the most serious legal trouble came in 2021 when Josh was arrested on federal charges of receiving and possessing child pornography. Prosecutors described the material as some of the worst they had ever seen. In December 2021, he was found guilty on both counts. During the trial, damning evidence, including activity on his work computer and disturbing content, left little room for doubt. In May 2022, Josh Duggar was sentenced to 12 years and 7 months in federal prison, followed by 20 years of supervised release. He is currently serving his sentence at FCI Seagoville, a low-security federal prison in Texas. His fall from grace is widely seen as one of the most shocking examples of hypocrisy in the world of reality television. Once promoted as a symbol of purity and faith, his actions revealed a dark and disturbing contrast to the values his family preached, and left a legacy forever tainted by crime and betrayal. What happens when fame fades, fortunes crumble, and the spotlight moves on? You get these. 22 abandoned celebrity mansions, left to rot, even when you could buy them for $1. From pop stars to movie legends, these once glamorous estates are now forgotten relics haunted by their pasts. So why can't anyone bring themselves to buy them? Is it the eerie history, the staggering repair costs, or something darker? Stick around as we reveal the shocking truth behind these once iconic homes that no one wants, no matter the price. Bruce Lee. It's not just a house, it's a shrine to a legend whose spirit still lingers in the walls. Bruce Lee's former mansion, perched on the edge of Los Angeles, once embodied the zenith of martial arts mastery and star power. Designed in the late 1960s, this striking mid-century modern home was more than a celebrity's retreat. It was a place where Lee sought peace and inspiration between his grueling training sessions and Hollywood obligations. With expansive views over the city and sleek minimalist design, it was a reflection of Lee's philosophy: balance, simplicity, and power. But like Lee's brief yet iconic life, the mansion's story would turn tragic. After Lee's untimely death in 1973, the home slipped from the public eye. What once was a serene sanctuary became a haunting reminder of a life cut short. Multiple owners cycled through, but none could shake the reputation of bad luck that seemed to shadow the property. Structural issues, costly repairs, and rumors of eerie happenings drove potential buyers away. Despite being listed for a fraction of its original price, the house has remained largely untouched. Its once pristine interiors, now faded and forgotten. The mansion may be a symbol of a life cut short, but it's one few seem brave enough to revive. Cruise. Once this mansion was supposed to be the epitome of a superstar's life, a lavish sanctuary for one of Hollywood's most iconic figures. However, after its owner, Tom Cruise, moved on, the house was abandoned and left to decay. Built in the early 2000s, the sleek modernist estate, perched high in the hills of Los Angeles, was everything you'd expect from the megastar. Expansive glass walls, an infinity pool overlooking the city, and cutting-edge design that screamed luxury. During its heyday, it played host to exclusive parties with the rich and famous rubbing shoulders beneath crystal chandeliers. But as with many things tied to the high life, this mansion's tale turned sour. In the wake of Cruise's departure and a bitter breakup, the property quickly fell into disrepair. Like a once popular actor fading from the limelight, it became a forgotten relic of celebrity. The lush gardens grew wild, the once gleaming marble floors cracked, and the windows that once reflected the LA skyline now only reveal rot and neglect. Despite its tempting price tag, buyers are deterred by its hefty maintenance costs and the faint whispers of bad energy lingering in its shadows. This former A-list abode may never find a new owner, at least not without a few sacrifices. Burt Reynolds. At the peak of his fame, Burt Reynolds was a symbol of charisma and effortless charm, and his Florida estate was just as captivating. This sprawling mansion, built in the 1970s, seemed like the perfect retreat for the mustachioed star known for his roles in Smokey and the Bandit and The Longest Yard. Located on the pristine shores of Hobe Sound, the property was as much a part of Reynolds' legend as his movie roles, featuring a massive pool, lush gardens, and sprawling terraces overlooking the water. It was a place where Hollywood royalty and the who's who of the entertainment world would gather, making it one of the most sought-after properties of the era. However, like many of the star's career highs, the mansion too met a decline. After Reynolds' departure and a series of personal and financial struggles, the property fell into neglect. What was once a beacon of wealth and glamour quickly became a symbol of faded fame. The grand rooms now stood empty, and the iconic pool, once filled with laughter and luxury, lay abandoned. Despite being listed at a surprisingly low price, the mansion remains unsellable, weighed down by maintenance costs and the uneasy history attached to it. Will this icon of faded stardom ever find new life, or will it remain a monument to bygone fame? Only time will tell. Bruce Lee. Johnny Depp. Once a wild haven for one of Hollywood's most eccentric stars, Johnny Depp's French chateau now stands as an abandoned monument to his fading fortunes. Bought in the early 2000s, this sprawling estate in the south of France was a dream for Depp, a place to escape the chaos of fame and indulge in his love for the mysterious and the romantic. With Gothic turrets, winding staircases, and lush vineyards, the chateau seemed straight out of a fairy tale. Depp, known for his unconventional tastes, poured millions into the property, making it a lavish sanctuary, complete with opulent rooms and unique details reflective of his bohemian lifestyle. However, Depp's dreams soon soured. Legal battles, financial mismanagement, and a string of personal troubles left the mansion neglected. The grand halls, once filled with the actors' boisterous gatherings and whimsical decorations, fell silent, their lavish fixtures collecting dust. The property, now in serious disrepair, has become a liability, requiring extensive work to restore its former glory. Even with its price slashed, few have shown interest, repelled by the monumental costs of restoring the estate. and the heavy shadow of Depp's troubled past. This chateau, once brimming with possibility, now waits in quiet despair for a future that may never come. Would you live in one of these abandoned celebrity homes for just $1? Comment 1 now and watch till the end to find out why these mansions are too spooky or cursed for buyers. Michael Jackson. Once a symbol of pop royalty, Michael Jackson's Neverland Ranch now lies abandoned, a ghostly reflection of the king of pop's larger-than-life legacy. Nestled in the Santa Ynez Valley, this sprawling 2,700-acre estate was Jackson's personal paradise, an amusement park, a zoo, and an extravagant mansion all in one. Built in the mid-1980s, it was designed to resemble a dreamlike wonderland, complete with a carousel, exotic animals, and sculptures that mirrored Jackson's eccentric taste. This was where the singer hosted lavish parties and made lifelong memories with children, with every corner of the ranch offering a glimpse into his whimsical yet troubled world. However, as Jackson's personal and legal troubles intensified, the ranch became more of a burden than a retreat. After his 2009 death, Neverland was left to deteriorate, its rides abandoned, and its ornate interiors gathering dust. The property's troubled history, combined with its enormous upkeep costs, made it a daunting prospect for potential buyers. Even after several price cuts, the ranch remains unsold, weighed down by its controversial past and its overwhelming restoration needs. Could the land ever be revived, or will it remain a testament to a pop legend's rise and fall? Only time will tell if anyone is willing to take on the monumental task. Cher's former mansion, a grand piece of Hollywood history, is now an eerie relic of the diva's extravagant past. Purchased in the 1970s, this sprawling estate in Malibu was the perfect backdrop for a star as bold and daring as Cher herself. With panoramic ocean views, luxurious interiors, and meticulously manicured gardens, the property was an embodiment of Cher's rock and roll lifestyle. She hosted glamorous parties and retreated here to recharge, making it as legendary as her onstage performances. The house, designed in a striking modernist style, mirrored her bold persona, bright, unique, and unforgettable. But like many of Cher's iconic moments, the mansion eventually saw a decline. After she sold the estate in the late 1980s, the property passed through several hands, each unable to maintain the glamour it once held. As years went by, the house fell into disrepair. The once vibrant interiors faded, and the sprawling gardens grew overgrown. The property's luxurious past seemed like a distant memory, overshadowed by mounting maintenance costs and its association with past owners. Even after slashing the price, the mansion remains unsold, too expensive to restore and too laden with the weight of past glory. This former celebrity haven, now a crumbling monument to an era gone by, may never again see the light of stardom. Courtney Love. Once the epitome of grunge glam, Courtney Love's Los Angeles mansion now stands as a forgotten testament to her turbulent life and times. Nestled in the hills, this mid-century modern home was once a haven for the rock star, where she could escape the chaos of her high-profile relationships and controversial fame. The mansion, designed with sharp, angular lines and floor-to-ceiling windows, reflected Love's edgy style, while the expansive grounds hosted intimate gatherings and wild parties during the height of her notoriety. This was a home that pulsed with energy, until it didn't. As Love's personal struggles escalated, the house became a symbol of her unraveling career. The once vibrant interiors, filled with eclectic furnishings and art pieces, fell into neglect. The lavish pool area, once the backdrop for countless A-list gatherings, now stood empty, the tiles cracked and the water stagnant. Love's departure marked the beginning of the mansion's slow decline, as a series of ownership changes failed to breathe life back into the property. Despite being priced well below its original value, the mansion refuses to sell. Potential buyers shy away, haunted by the heavy shadow of Love's troubled past and the significant repairs required. Will anyone ever be willing to take on this rock and roll relic, or will it remain a monument to a life lived on the edge? Pablo Escobar. Pablo Escobar's former estate, once a sprawling symbol of his unparalleled wealth and power, now stands abandoned, a decaying reminder of the Colombian drug lord's reign. The property known as Hacienda Nápoles was Escobar's personal playground, a luxurious compound built in the 1980s, complete with a private zoo, a massive mansion, and vast lands filled with opulence. The estate was a place where Escobar hosted lavish parties and flaunted his fortune, bringing exotic animals and constructing elaborate features like a private airstrip. His massive fortune flowed through every inch of the property, from the marble floors to the extravagant pool areas. However, as Escobar's empire crumbled and he met his violent end in 1993, the estate was left to deteriorate. The zoo, once filled with rare creatures, was abandoned, and the mansion itself began to rot, its once grand rooms now silent and forgotten. Despite being listed for sale multiple times, the property has struggled to find a buyer. The remnants of its dark history, combined with the enormous costs of restoring the estate, keep potential buyers at bay. Even with a drastically reduced price, the legacy of violence and corruption attached to Hacienda Nápoles has left it a burden no one seems willing to take on. It may forever remain a chilling relic of Escobar's empire, a monument to a life built on blood and fortune. Nelly. Nelly's once impressive mansion in St. Louis now stands as a neglected reminder of the rapper's early success. Purchased in the mid-2000s, the home reflected Nelly's rise to fame with its sprawling layout, massive pool and sleek design. It was a place that echoed with the sounds of platinum records, luxury cars, and the star-studded life he had built. The mansion was more than just a house. It was a statement, an embodiment of the hip-hop icon's success and influence on the music scene. As Nelly's career slowed and his focus shifted, the mansion became increasingly neglected. What was once a grand estate began to show signs of wear, with rooms falling into disrepair and the pool growing murky. Attempts to sell the property met with little success as potential buyers were deterred by the extensive renovation work required and the looming costs of upkeep. The once vibrant home now stands silent, a stark contrast to the life of luxury it once represented. Despite a dramatic price reduction, the mansion has failed to attract interest. The heavy burden of maintenance and the weight of past glory seem too much for any new owner to bear, leaving the mansion to fade into obscurity. Birdman. Birdman's grand mansion in Miami, once a beacon of hip-hop royalty, now sits abandoned, a stark symbol of his rise and fall. Purchased in the early 2000s, this sprawling waterfront estate was the epitome of excess, designed to reflect the lavish lifestyle Birdman, also known as Brian Williams, had cultivated as the co-founder of Cash Money Records. The property featured vast living spaces, floor-to-ceiling windows, and a private dock for luxury yachts all overlooking the shimmering waters of Biscayne Bay. It was a place where the rapper and mogul entertained a who's who of the music industry, from fellow stars to business partners. However, as Birdman's financial troubles mounted, the mansion's glittering allure began to tarnish. The lavish home, which had once been a fortress of wealth, became a burden, plagued by mounting debts and legal issues. The mansion, now requiring significant repairs, fell into disrepair. The once bustling estate became eerily quiet, its once gleaming features now tarnished and neglected. Attempts to sell the mansion have been unsuccessful, with potential buyers hesitant to take on the extensive renovation costs and the lingering weight of Birdman's troubled financial history. What was once a symbol of success now stands as a testament to the fleeting nature of fame and fortune, waiting for a future that may never come. Crowley. Once home to one of the most notorious and enigmatic figures in occult history, Aleister Crowley's former estate in the English countryside now stands as a decaying monument to the dark mysticism that once permeated its halls. Known for his controversial beliefs and practices, Crowley purchased the property in the early 1920s, naming it Boleskine House. Perched on the shores of Loch Ness, the mansion was the perfect backdrop for Crowley's occult rituals, with rumors swirling of secret ceremonies and strange happenings that took place within its walls. The house, with its grand rooms and isolated location, became synonymous with the darker side of spirituality. But as with many of Crowley's ventures, the mansion's fate was tied to a spiral of decline. After his departure and the eventual deaths of several owners, Boleskine House fell into disrepair, Its once pristine gardens overgrew into a tangled mess, and its elegant interiors were left to rot. The mansion's sinister reputation, coupled with the burden of restoration costs, made it unsellable for years. Even when listed at a dramatically reduced price, the property remains unsold. Its reputation for hauntings, the lingering aura of Crowley's controversial life, and the sheer expense of renovating a home with such a shadowy past keep potential buyers at bay. Could Boleskine House ever escape its haunted legacy, or is it forever doomed to fade into obscurity? Madonna. Madonna's former estate in the Hamptons, once the epitome of glamour and style, now sits empty, a faded reflection of the Queen of Pop's extravagant reign. Purchased in the 1980s, the sprawling property was a sanctuary for Madonna during her rise to fame, offering privacy and luxury in equal measure. With sprawling lawns, opulent interiors, and a pool that sparkled under the New York sun, the mansion was the ultimate celebrity retreat. It was a place where Madonna could escape the limelight, hosting intimate gatherings and creative sessions that birthed some of her most iconic works. However, as Madonna's career evolved and her personal life took center stage, the mansion became increasingly distant from the center of her world. The estate changed hands multiple times, with each new owner attempting and failing to breathe new life into the once stunning property. The house's prime location in the Hamptons couldn't save it from falling into disrepair, as maintenance costs and the burden of restoration took their toll. Now, even after lowering the asking price considerably, the mansion sits unsold. Potential buyers are hesitant, wary of its age and the elusive reputation tied to it. This house, which once hosted the very essence of pop royalty, is now a relic of a bygone era. Will anyone be brave enough to restore it, or will it remain a forgotten part of Madonna's illustrious past? Is Madonna's Hamptons mansion beyond restoration at this point? Comment: yes, if you think it's too far gone. No, if you believe it can be revived. Let's discuss its potential. Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs' former Palo Alto estate, a minimalist marvel, now sits abandoned, a stark contrast to the vision of innovation that once defined its owner. Designed by the renowned architect Marco Piva, the home was a seamless blend of cutting-edge technology and sleek modern aesthetics. Jobs moved in during the late 1990s, a time when he was rebuilding Apple from the ground up. With its glass walls, open floor plans, and innovative use of space, the house was a physical manifestation of Jobs' genius and his obsession with perfection. It was more than just a home. It was a sanctuary for the man who changed the world. But after his death in 2011, the mansion lost its luster. Though once filled with energy and vision, it quickly fell into disrepair, with its stark, clean lines now ghostly reminders of a bygone era. The property's significant maintenance costs, along with its highly specific design that can be difficult to adapt, have deterred potential buyers. Add to that its somewhat remote location, and the estate remains unsold. Even with a drastically reduced price, the mansion stands empty, an architectural masterpiece, but one few are willing to take on. Could anyone ever bring this legacy back to life, or is it doomed to fade like the man who built it? Liza Minnelli. Liza Minnelli's former New York City penthouse, once a glamorous testament to her legendary career, now sits empty and fading, a relic of the past. Situated in the heart of Manhattan, this lavish apartment was a haven for the Broadway icon during the height of her fame in the 1970s and 1980s. The penthouse, with its sweeping views of the skyline, was an extravagant space, richly decorated with opulent furnishings, crystal chandeliers, and grandiose touches that reflected Minnelli's theatrical personality. It became a place where the glittering world of Hollywood and Broadway collided, hosting exclusive gatherings and intimate parties. However, as time passed and Minnelli's career slowed, the penthouse fell into disrepair. The once vibrant colors of its rooms dulled, and the luxurious furnishings became faded memories of a bygone era. Despite its prime location in one of the most coveted parts of the city, the apartment became a financial burden, with mounting maintenance costs and the weight of its history making it difficult to sell. Even after several price reductions, the penthouse remains unsold. Its connection to the star's turbulent personal life and the extensive renovations required keeping potential buyers at bay. What was once a symbol of Broadway brilliance now waits for a future that may never come. Boris Becker. Boris Becker's former estate in the exclusive area of Wimbledon now stands as a quiet testament to the tennis legend's fall from grace. Purchased in the early 1990s, this sprawling Georgian-style mansion was an emblem of Becker's rise to stardom, offering the perfect retreat for a man who had conquered the tennis world. With manicured gardens, spacious living areas, and a stunning view of the lush London countryside, it was a place that reflected Becker's success, luxury, and desire for privacy after his high-profile career. It was more than just a home, it was a haven where the athlete could escape the pressures of fame. However, after Becker's legal and financial troubles escalated, the mansion began to fall into neglect. Following his 2017 bankruptcy and subsequent legal battles, the estate became a symbol of his struggles. The once pristine grounds grew overgrown and the opulent interiors slowly deteriorated. Despite being placed on the market for a significant price cut, potential buyers have been hesitant. The estate's historical connection to Becker's controversies, combined with the overwhelming cost of restoration, has kept it unsold. Once a symbol of triumph, the house now stands forgotten, its future uncertain, as it waits for a buyer who may never come. Robin Williams. Robin Williams' former estate in Paradise Cay, California, once a sanctuary for one of Hollywood's most beloved stars, now lies abandoned, a poignant reminder of a life that was as multifaceted as the man himself. Purchased in the late 1990s, this charming estate offered Williams the peace and privacy he sought away from the chaos of fame. The coastal property, nestled along the water's edge, featured a cozy, rustic home with sweeping views of the bay and a beautiful, serene garden. A true reflection of Williams' love for nature and simplicity. It was a place where he could escape into his own world, crafting jokes and seeking solace. However, after his tragic passing in 2014, the estate lost its vibrant energy. The house, once filled with laughter and warmth, grew silent. The well-maintained gardens began to wither, and the once beautiful interior grew dusty and worn. Despite efforts to sell the property, the mansion lingered on the market for years. The emotional weight of Williams's death and the house's lack of upkeep kept potential buyers at bay. Despite a significant price drop, the estate remains unsold. What was once a peaceful haven for an iconic figure is now a quiet, forgotten relic of the past, waiting for a new chapter that may never come. Betty White's Brentwood home. Betty White's Brentwood home, once a cozy reflection of her warm, down-to-earth personality, now stands quietly, a reminder of the beloved star's incredible life and career. Purchased in the 1960s, the charming property nestled in one of Los Angeles' most desirable neighborhoods was where White spent the later years of her life. The home, with its classic California ranch-style architecture, lush gardens and inviting interior, was a haven for the actress who charmed generations with her humor, kindness, and timeless appeal. It was a place where she could relax away from the spotlight, surrounded by memories of her long and illustrious career. However, after Betty White's passing in early 2022, the house was left empty, its warmth gone. The once vibrant gardens now appear overgrown, and the interior, though lovingly decorated, shows signs of age. While it remains a treasure for fans and admirers, the house's future is uncertain. The estate's value, combined with the significant costs of maintaining a property in such a prime location, has made it difficult to sell. Despite a price reduction, no buyer has yet stepped forward to take on the home, leaving this quiet, beloved landmark to linger in limbo. A testament to White's legacy, the house waits for a new chapter, one that may never come. Dean Martin's Trousdale Estates home. Dean Martin's former home in Trousdale Estates, once a glittering symbol of Hollywood's golden age, now sits abandoned, a silent reminder of the crooner's legendary career. Purchased in the 1960s, this sprawling mid-century modern mansion was an oasis for Martin, the suave and charming member of the Rat Pack. With its sleek open layout, expansive pool, and panoramic views of Los Angeles, the estate was the perfect blend of style and sophistication. Martin entertained numerous celebrities here, hosting lavish parties and soaking in the opulence that accompanied his status as one of the most iconic voices of his generation. However, as time passed and the star faded from the limelight, the mansion gradually fell into disrepair. After Martin's death in 1995, the estate passed through several owners, but none could restore it to its former glory. The once pristine interiors and glamorous outdoor spaces became worn, and the house, now carrying the weight of its star-studded past, struggled to maintain its appeal. Even after lowering the asking price significantly, the estate remains unsold. The mansion's need for extensive repairs and its association with a fading era of Hollywood's past have kept potential buyers at bay. What was once the epitome of luxury now sits forgotten, waiting for an owner who may never arrive. Tommy Lee. Tommy Lee's California mansion, once a symbol of rock star excess, now lies abandoned, its wild history a distant memory. Purchased in the 1980s, this sprawling estate in Malibu was the perfect retreat for the Motley Crue drummer, a place that matched his larger-than-life persona. The house was equipped with every luxury, from a massive pool and private beach access to a massive open layout designed for parties and celebration. It was the backdrop for some of the wildest stories in rock and roll history, hosting celebrity guests, musicians, and infamous parties that stretched into the early hours. However, as Tommy Lee's career and personal life took unpredictable turns, the mansion began to slip into disrepair. The estate, once a vibrant center of glitz and glam, became a neglected shell of its former self. The pool, once filled with guests, now stands empty, and the rooms that once echoed with music and laughter have fallen silent. Despite attempts to sell the mansion at various price points, potential buyers are discouraged by the significant costs of repairs and the house's association with a troubled past. What was once a rock and roll paradise has become a relic of a bygone era, with its future uncertain, as no one seems willing to take on the extravagant restoration it would require. Jason Derulo. Jason Derulo's former Miami mansion, once a luxurious statement of his musical success, now stands abandoned, a ghostly reminder of a star who once ruled the charts. Purchased in the early 2010s, this modern estate featured sleek, contemporary design with walls of glass that offered sweeping views of the city's skyline and sparkling waters. With its grand pool, expansive outdoor spaces, and lavish interiors, it was the perfect environment for the pop singer to entertain and unwind, in between his chart-topping hits. The mansion seemed like the ideal reflection of Derulo's glamorous lifestyle, a place where his success could truly shine. However, as Derulo's focus shifted, the once thriving mansion became increasingly neglected. The grand pool, once the center of numerous parties, now lies stagnant, surrounded by overgrown gardens. Inside, the high-end finishes and open-concept spaces have fallen into disrepair, with crumbling walls and worn-out fixtures. Attempts to sell the property have met with little success, as potential buyers are wary of the enormous costs associated with restoring the estate to its former glory. Despite a reduced price, the mansion remains unsold, its once celebrated design now overshadowed by the daunting prospect of renovation. What was once a symbol of pop success now languishes, waiting for a new owner who may never come. Enjoying this video? Like and subscribe for more. Not feeling it? A like would still be appreciated, and your comments will help me do better next time. Sinatra's Twin Palms estate. Frank Sinatra's iconic Twin Palms estate in Palm Springs, once a luxurious sanctuary for the legendary crooner, now stands as a poignant relic of old Hollywood's glamour. Purchased in the 1940s, this striking mid-century modern home, designed by renowned architect E. Stewart Williams, was where Sinatra retreated from the public eye and created some of his most memorable music. The estate's signature feature, a large, elegant pool with a palm tree growing directly through the center, became an enduring symbol of Sinatra's lavish lifestyle. It was here that he entertained fellow stars, hosted intimate gatherings, and enjoyed the peace of the desert away from the spotlight. However, after Sinatra's death in 1998, the property began to deteriorate. Though the home passed through various owners, none could fully capture the magic it once held. The once pristine interiors grew dated and the legendary pool area fell into neglect. The house, while still carrying Sinatra's aura of style, became a burden to maintain. Despite being listed for sale multiple times, the estate struggled to attract buyers, with its hefty maintenance costs and aging structure proving difficult to overcome. Even as the price dropped, potential owners hesitated, unwilling to take on the extensive restoration needed. What was once a dazzling jewel of the desert now waits lost in time as a tribute to a star whose light has long since faded. Jayne Mansfield's Pink Palace. Jayne Mansfield's Pink Palace, once a dazzling beacon of Hollywood glamour, now stands abandoned, a faded testament to the starlet's tragic and tumultuous life. Purchased in the 1950s, the striking pink mansion in Beverly Hills was an embodiment of Mansfield's larger-than-life persona, bright, bold, and unmistakable. With its flamboyant design, curvaceous architecture, and lavish interiors, it reflected the actress's flair for the dramatic and her desire to stand out in a city filled with stars. The mansion became famous not only for its eye-catching color, but also for its role as a backdrop to the glamorous, often scandalous life of one of Hollywood's most captivating icons. However, after Mansfield's untimely death in a car crash in 1967, the mansion quickly lost its luster. The property changed hands several times, but the once vibrant home could never escape the shadow of tragedy that loomed over it. Despite attempts to restore the mansion to its former glory, it was eventually sold and demolished in the 1980s to make way for newer, more modern developments. Today, all that remains of the Pink Palace is a piece of Hollywood history, remembered fondly by fans of Mansfield's short but dazzling career. The mansion may be gone, but its legacy lingers, a reminder of the glamorous yet fleeting nature of fame. So what's the lesson here? Fame and fortune don't last forever. These once legendary mansions prove that everything, no matter how grand, can fade into obscurity. Sometimes it's the price of fame that we forget to consider, the costs, the consequences, the decline. But don't let that scare you. Instead, let it remind you that success is never guaranteed, and everything can change in an instant. So now you've seen the truth behind the fame, the actors who went from red carpets to cold, steel cells. But here's the real question. Can we ever separate the art from the artist? Should we still watch their old movies or erase them from Hollywood's history? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Which story shocked you the most? And do you believe justice was truly served? If this video surprised you, hit that like button, subscribe for more unbelievable stories, and share it with someone who still thinks Hollywood is all glitz and glam, because sometimes the most terrifying roles aren't in the movies, they're real.